What's up guys, this is Void of Dust Gaming, your channel for fresh Arena of Valor content. Today I want to have a second glimpse on Lorien. I think he has been featured on this channel just once, therefore the second glimpse makes sense. And we're going to check out how strong he is for casual players like me in the current meta or in the current game surroundings. I've got an updated build for you guys. I've got some new items for you in there as well. And we're just gonna find out how strong he is, how you need to play him, what you can do against him, and all sorts of things related to Lorien in the game. If you like this kind of content, a subscription is the best way to support me. And of course, thumbs ups as well as comments with helpful information are always something that I appreciate a lot. So let's get started with the build and some gameplay. Alright, so welcome to the build section where you can see the stuff that most of the players are actually playing right now in the game. We've got a really nice mix of some utility that we get from some items, and of course we are focusing on some damage. But as you can see, most of the items are actually not only damage-wise important, but they offer something in addition. For example, we've taken the Gilded Greaves. It's something that most of the more I would say fight-oriented mages are using at the moment over something else, if it is not for something super special, such as boosting Natalia's damage with some of enchanted kick stuff or something like that. Tulin uses Gilded Greaves, Lorien uses the Gilded Greaves, Jinna uses them as well, Raz can use them, so this is quite good. We've got some crowd control reduction on them. Then we're going with Barriers Agony because it gives us at least a little bit of armor, and as you guys are using a lot of teleport stuff, which will bring you in the middle of the fight, this is really important to use. John with the Reaper has seen a huge increase because a lot of heal mechanics have been introduced in the game with heroes such as Dextra. We've got Kilgroth in there. We've got Errol, so this is kind of a really good item that most of the players find useful quite now. If it is not working for you or you don't have any healing abilities in the opponent's team, this is of course something that you might change with something else that is more valuable to your composition. We're then taking the Frost Orb here. That's really good because you are going to teleport, as I said, into the enemies, and if you are affected by a lot of damage, you can just press the button and you will freeze and not receive any damage after all. And the last two items, Hecate's Diadem and the Staff of Null, are of course staple stuff. We want to have some armor pierce and we want to boost our damage even further, and therefore we're using these two items. Arcana wise, I went with my mage damage build. You can use basically there are two options. The first option is you want to have Violate 10 times and you want to have Devour 10 times. Something that is discussable is basically the third one, the cyan colored rune or the green colored rune. You can take Hex or you can take Flurry. That's completely up to you. I wanted to try Hex. I guess Flurry might be the better choice, but in this case I went with Hex to boost our damage even further. And enchantment wise, something that is quite popular at the moment is a build that's focusing completely on Lockheim. Veda is something that might be useful as well with the Sacred Thunder, but in this case we're going with Curse of the Death. We are going with this kind of incinerate thing here, Raging Inferno, and we're going with Deadly Claw to boost our ability power, and then we are having a second Mark of the Frost Orb effect, as well as some Sacred Beat here to improve the cooldown reduction of our ultimate, which is actually quite nice because your ultimate is a pretty powerful tool. I think that is enough about all the theory. Let's go into some practical usage, and I've got some gameplay for you guys now. Alright guys, here we go with the Lorien content, and there is some kind of, it's not a spoiler note, but there's a note in advance. I've played Lorien a couple of times, and I tried him recently, but I think I have around under 10 games with him. Therefore, this is not your how to become the best Lorien player guide. It's more a guide or a video that is used for the purpose to check out if someone who's more sorts of an advanced casual player, such as I am, can make him work, and if that is really something that is useful in the game, and if you should try to get him, or if you should rather pick a eventually more beginner friendly hero or something like that. So this is kind of like the reason why we are doing this stuff. And as you can see at the beginning of the game, I'm trying out some things such as throwing around orbs, shifting orbs, teleporting to orbs, or it's not really teleporting, it's more of some sort of dash thing going on. And this is super dangerous here. I almost died to Batman in this very scene at the beginning of the game, where I actually wanted just to explain some things in order to maintain some good vibes here. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have played against or with Lorien so far. So I would say let's have a short introduction on what he's capable of doing and what I think is the way to play him. Okay, so as you can see, we are floating around the air and we've got this little piece of plasma or whatever it's supposed to be that is located here in this little orb. So there is Lorien. I don't know anything about the lore, so don't get me started on that, because that's something where I'm missing information. What I can tell you is that there is some kind of orb, and for whatever reason, this orb is living inside Lorien. I don't know what kind of he's some kind of creepy demon dude or something, and therefore I think it makes completely sense that there is an orb living inside him. As you can see with your S1, you can cast the orb and send it to a certain location. That is done or executed by just dragging the respective spell to the position. That's kind of easy. The orb is going to cause damage to whatever it's hitting on its path, and when it's landing at that point, it's doing a certain amount of damage. I don't know how much, but basically that's just about the mechanics. If you are then recasting the orb, which means you are dragging the icon or the template from the location to another location, you will kind of send the orb on another way, or you're going to kind of make it travel from one location to the other. We're going to use it right now. Let's wait for a moment where we are actually doing this. So you've got your orb and you're going to send it from your body to a certain location. The next activation of the orb is actually causing the orb to move to another location, and if you are using the spell for a third time, the orb is going to come back to your point of origin. As you can see, there's a little indicator that is actually showing you where the orb is, even if you are kind of moving away from it. And as you have eventually seen, the orb is going to have a red indicator. Oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I don't know what the Wukong is doing here either. So yeah, this was pretty sad for me as well as him. Your orb indicator is becoming red from the terms of color if you are moving too far away from the orb, and if you travel a certain distance away from your orb, the orb is actually being transferred back to your body. And you can see it by this kind of foam, dusty thing, smoky thing coming from your body. Then you know the orb is inside you if you are not checking the indicators on the map. That's like your main asset is to check out if there is an indicator such as this one, and if you are using that, you will get to see that the stuff is actually working. Okay, so this is your first spell. Your second spell is actually some kind of teleport dash sort of thing, where you are going to travel to the point of origin where your orb is located at the very moment when you activate the spell. That's the first thing. This is when your orb is outside of you. If your orb is inside of you and there's an enemy nearby, you are going to activate some energies inside you, and this is going to cause to have some kind of template under you. And if you're using this, it's going to kind of electrocute stuff around you. Let's wait for a moment where I'm actually doing it. So yeah, here we go. Oh no, this was the ultimate. Yeah, this was it. And now, oh my goodness. Well, at least Valheim gets her. That's a good thing. They do get Batman. That's another good thing. Good game from the Zenial here. He was really good. He was really annoying because he landed his ultimate quite a lot in a very good manner. Not many Zenial players are doing it actually like that. So thumbs up for that exploit. Good game from you. Okay, so here we go. So if I would activate the second ability right now, which I can't because there is no target. That's what the game says. I'm not gonna cause any problem here. I'm not gonna activate the spell at all. But if there would be an enemy nearby, I would be able to activate the second ability even if the orb is not around here. So this is still going to be useful. Here it is. You can see that there is a screen underneath me, and this is the point of... This is basically the area where the spell is actually dealing damage. That's the second skill. Ultimate is something completely different. Ultimate can be cast if the orb is inside you as well as if the orb is outside of you. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a short delay, and the delay is 2 seconds. And then afterwards, the orb is going to activate its ultimate state, and the ultimate state is going to deal a tremendous amount of damage on the one hand, and on the other hand, there is going to be a knock-up effect. You can see that enemies are actually levitating in the air. This is the point where it started, exactly like that. So what you can do is you can actually activate it when the orb is within you, and then you can send the orb into the enemy after the 1 second, and the orb is going to be activated at the very point of origin, which makes it a little bit easier to hit enemies. Because what's gonna happen if you are sending the orb away and then you are ultimating is that, of course, this ultimate activation is happening during the point where the orb is lying around somewhere. For example, now, if I would press the ultimate right now, there would be the activation, and then the ultimate activation would go off in a place where no enemy would be around. So I would rather advise you to activate the ultimate ability when the orb is still within you, and then you are going to send the orb with your S1 to that point where you want to have the impact from your ultimate. And then afterwards, when the ult has hit, you can either use your second ability to jump immediately at that point to cause damage on where enemies are in a knock-up state, because they cannot run away from you and they will get the full amount of damage on the one hand. Or of course, what you can do, you can relocate your orb using your first ability again, and then you can use your second ability to cause damage, such as I showed in this very scene. So we've played 9 minutes. The video is about half of the gameplay has already been taken place. Okay, this is fine. We're suppressing her. Now we've got Batman in here. I really wanted her. I really wanted her for in order to boost my results. So in my opinion, Lorien is actually not super easy. To be fair, for beginners, even with my 2,500 games or something that I've got under my sleeve, I think the whole amount of things that you can actually do with him is super complicated at the beginning. at the beginning, and it's kind of causing a lot of stuff to happen around you. And it might just be a little bit frustrating if you want to focus on the game and on the game flow while you have to deal with a lot of micromanagement on the other hand, because of the orb management, the skill management, your ultimate management, and sorts of things. That said, if you are some sort of advanced player, it's actually something that you will come across and you will learn to master it if you have the time to really invest and train with Lorien. I would say if I would be a person who is going to use Lorien in more games, if I've got 100 games with him or 50 games, even 50 games, would be totally fine. I think I would be a lot better with him. My problem with him at this point of the game right now is that I played him under 10 games or something like that. So, and that is within the time of several months. Therefore, of course, my skills are not the best anyways to start with. And of course, I am super rusty with him because I've played him when he was released. Then no one knew what to do against him, and it was kind of easier to make him work. And now people have actually adopted. They have seen Lorien quite often, and therefore people know how to deal with him. And that is going to lead me to the next point that I wanted to discuss with him, and that's something that I want to include in my videos more often, because usually I'm talking about the abilities, I'm talking about how I would play them, and some point that I'm missing quite often is how to play against them. So the first thing that I want to stress in this very video is basically the fact Lorien and Lorien's strength is orb management. So if you want to master him and if you want to become really good with him, your key to success is to master your orb management, to really have a feeling on the situation. Where should the orb be in the first place? Where should be the relocation? How can I use my ult? When is the best time to use my ult? Will there be an opportunity where I'm catching more than 2 heroes with my ult? That's all decisions that you need to think through if you want to make the best use of Lorien. If you are familiar with mages and you are familiar with more sorts of center-based action mages, such as for example Jinna, you will have an advantage over players who are playing, for example, Natalias and sorts, or Diochans, who have a strong controlling effect on the one hand, but like to have some space between them and the enemy front line on the other hand. That's some sort of thing that his playstyle is a little bit different, because you are going to jump into the action quite often, or at least near to the action quite often, using your second ability. What's really good about him is that you can actually dive stuff with him, because you can throw or relocate the orb behind the front line, which makes it easier for you to jump in the back line and cause havoc there, killing your counter mages or your mages on the enemy team. But as I said, orb management is the very key to master Lorien and really making him great instead of just good. On the other hand, and that's the point that I want to stress more often in my videos, and I'm quite curious if you guys like this kind of topic, or if it's something that you are not really missing in my videos so far, is what can we do against Lorien? And that's something, if we are focusing on him, and I said the key to master him is basically mastering the orb management, where your orb is and where your orb isn't, and what your orb is capable of doing, then the key to counter Lorien or play against him or defend against him is that you need to check out where is the orb, is ult ready, is ult not ready, and basically just avoid standing in the orb or in a potential path that Lorien can relocate within the usage of his ult when he casts it the second time, or he's going to pull the orb back with his third activation. That's basically just the thing that you need to be aware of. You need to keep an eye on the orb. Where is it? How many times has he used the location stuff from the orb? And you will have it a lot easier to play against him. And you should always stay a little bit away from the orb because he can jump in and use his ult meanwhile. So as you see, we had a victory. 21.8% damage. I didn't really think that this is going to happen. I thought my impact on the game wasn't that great, but it was actually good. And you can see how strong Lorien is because 4 kills, that's not that much, but I did a lot of assist work, 14 assists here. That's quite a lot from the 26 kills in total. And I think he's a good mage. I think you can make proper use with him if you invest some time with him. He's not as easy as Natalia, of course, but he is a pretty solid, pretty strong mage. And if you haven't taken him into account, you might just do it after this video. And I'm really curious on how you think about him and my videos so far. So have a nice evening, Void of Dust Gaming, and I'm out. Bye-bye.